Original sabermetric saying that you're just not pitching enough innings to impact that. But then as you move on into the analytic phase of the sabermetric phase, you start to think, wait a second, win probability added, where you're actually adding so much to the end of games when the winning is right there and that certainty is there. I'm not so sure that's not the case if the starting pitcher innings come down. And this year, Al, they're coming down. Do you think this could be a year where we could see a relief pitcher win the Cy Young Award and actually deserve it?
Why not? And look, I think the biggest thing, starting pitcher, you're going to get around 12 starts. So let's just assume 6+. So you're going to be anywhere from 75 to 80+ innings, right? Depending upon if they go 6 or better. There are guys that Michael Lorenzen said the other day to David Bell, like, I want to pitch every game. Now, he could say all he wants, but it wasn't just like a flippant comment. He was very measured and he was serious. That's not going to happen. But if you could get a reliever that's capable of going more than an inning per appearance and say 26, 27 appearances, possible, maybe, with the right amount of off days, now you're talking about a differential of maybe 25 innings. You know, it's not 235 innings to the guy who threw 65 innings.
Right.
There could be a close difference, but they're going to have a year of what you just showed there. It's going to have to be almost flawless.
Right. It did. Then there was a wave, Sarragan, where the sabermetric set came through, and we're like, this is ludicrous. That Dennis Eckersley thing shouldn't have happened, and all that. You're coming on and you're pitching one inning. It's really not adding to that. And I believe that too. And then I'm not so sure anymore. Where are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Al said, I think it's going to require essentially a Zach Britton year that we saw in 2016, this almost sub-05 ERA, perfect in save opportunities or maybe one blown save, bunch of innings pitched for what he was doing. And I think that there's something to be said for the fact that those impactful innings are maybe even more impactful this year. That's not probability, that's not an actual percentage, but I think there's something to be said for being there in the ninth inning with the game on the line. In fewer games, we were talking about, could the Tigers make the playoffs, something like that. Theoretically, every save is preventing something like that from happening and keeping you even more in the season than I think in a normal season. I know the numbers don't actually bear that out, but I think that we're talking about voters who might be seeing something like that and seeing more clutch in that.
Well, I remember looking through, when I was writing my book, looking at the baseball writers' vote through the years, and I was ready to slam them. I know, believe it or not, usually I'm just in total agreement. But I was ready to slam your brethren in past years for how could you have given this to Willie Hernandez, 1984 Tigers, Jim Constantine, 1950 Phillies, and I'm citing two pitchers that also did high-volume innings that, upon further review, looking at their win probability and the certainty that they brought, because you only applied them to winning games.
Yeah.
I actually thought, wait a second, the writers got it right in that case. If you pitch enough innings and you add enough win probability, I think a relief pitcher, you could see them being as valuable as a top-flight starting pitcher.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any blame or credit for Constante. That was actually even before my time.
1950, okay.
1950 was before my time. I don't think it's impossible, as I said before. It's possible, but I do think the bias is kind of baked in now. And I mean, Britton, you couldn't have done any better than Britton.
Shouldn't be that way, though, right? I mean, isn't it right? Because you're saying that, no, we've gotten used to voting this way.
I think you're right. I would consider it, but Britton only gave up 4 earned runs that year, over 162. So, I mean, even if you have someone who gives up 0 earned runs, I mean, or 1, which would be kind of tantamount to what he did, I'm just not seeing it. I think that there's a favoritism toward the starting pitchers, and I mean, there is a reason that they are, I would say, generally more valuable or higher paid. I get it. I think it's a little unfair, but I would say very unlikely that it's going to happen.
I don't even want to make this like a wonky argument. I'm saying that when you have a lead, your late innings, and if, let's say it's Josh Hader going, you have a lead in the 7th, and it's like, we're going to use you Sparky Lyle style. Like 3 innings, finish this off, get us that win. And as you mentioned, Sarah, like 60 games, if you have that certainty, it's like it's even bigger than your ERA or the win probability added that, hey, I locked down 30 wins in a 60-game season. That will be enormously valuable in the real world.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you this, BK, as I'm listening to all of you speak, my heart will always be with a starting pitcher. I know the value of when... Well,
fight that bias then.
No, I'm not going to. Because there's a reason
now
why...
more than ever.
There's a reason why they're starting. There's a reason why they flip lineups over 3 times. And I'm playing into...
Well, they're doing that less and less, though, Al. Right. If a guy's going 9,
Your
but his
premium
starters
guys,
do-
your premium guys are going 3. Garrett Cole, pick your DeGrom, pick your guys. They're going to flip the lineups 3 times. They're
get it 3.
They're
Okay.
6-7 innings.
Okay.
And that says something. You have to have not only great stuff, good stuff, secondary pitching, et cetera, but to be counted on with respect to however many starts, let's say it's 12, that's a big plus for every clubhouse team to know who's on the mound that's an elite pitcher.
On the by and large, you're right. But if they're better, right? But they're better running a 400-meter or a mile, to use this metaphor. But those guys who sprint are better at sprinting. Like Zach Britton that year was better at sprinting. Like, give me 3 outs and get this win. He was. Yeah. I don't know if Garrett Cole could just do that, right? And have one bad game for 6 months.
Which is the only reason why I think if it can happen, and again, it'd have to be what Zach Britton or some crazy season, because of the amount of innings, because of the amount of starts, it's not 32, 34 starts with 215 to 25 innings. We're talking about a smaller segment, right? A smaller snapshot. So we might have a reliever that just does, as you described, a couple innings, and I'm pitching 26 games as opposed to a third of the season.
I think Fernando Rodney was close to that. So was Britton, right? What if a guy gives up no runs for a season? Like, it's perfect. Like
10 games or 30 games?
20, 25. He doesn't give up a run, doesn't blow a save. Gives you nothing but wins.
That wouldn't
Seals
even
off
guarantee it.
25
I mean, Britton was pretty darn close to that, and he did not come close to winning that award.
And
Remember
saying,
that award was between, wasn't it Verlander and...
Right. And I'm saying maybe it doesn't.
Porcello.
There it is.
Porcello,
and I'm
right.
saying maybe that doesn't make sense.
Porcello, right?
Maybe it doesn't make sense. Sarah, vote on that. Who's your Cy Young that year?
I mean, I understood the Britton train. I think I was on that for a while. I definitely didn't agree with the Porcello part.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're absolutely dominant like that, I do get it, and I think that it will come down a lot to how much you help the
His
team.
ERA was 1/6 of those other 4 gentlemen. Not to disparage them, they're all fantastic. I would have probably picked Verlander among the starters there, but 1/6, and he still didn't win.
And I'm saying, do you agree with that?
No, at that time I supported Britain.
And
But I
what
was
about-
in the
you were
vast minority.
I'm saying maybe you were right. You were ahead of your time. That's what I'm trying to say, John.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah. Look at that. I think we're solving things here.
67 innings, I'm sorry.